Can you believe it? Next week we have playoff football in North Dakota. Class A and 9-man get the postseason started 1 week from Saturday. Hi again, everyone. Jody Norstedt with Midco Sports, proudly presenting another Midco Sports game ball sponsored by Farmers Union Insurance. This week we're sending a ball out to the Magic City for a young man that's been the heartbeat for Minot's impressive fall, and he was running wild against one of the stingiest run defenses in the state on Thursday night. Tyson Ruzicka, this ball is heading your way. We'll talk more about Tyson's big night shortly. Let's start with some of our top performers and some honorable mention guys that literally could be on here every week. Javon Freeze continues to light things up in 9-man, a 6-touchdown performance for the Grant County Flasher star. Shanley's Landon Meyer put up a 6-pack of scores himself in a win over Davies. And Blake Matson at North Prairie, yes, your 300 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns in the win over Nelson County are game ball and top performer worthy, no doubt. Here's the consolation prize for that trio. At the end of the year, we award our players of the year in each class, and it's going to be hard to have a conversation about awards like that and not include those 3 names. Okay, let's get to this week's top performers. Here's another young man that could make a case for being a player of the year candidate someday. I think he'd take another state title over that, though. Hank Bodine, the stud junior running back and linebacker for Velva-D-A-G Moose Garrison, had 23 touches on offense on Friday night and turned that into 171 yards and 6 touchdowns. All of those scores on the ground in the 40-12 win over Bishop Ryan. Bodine was a monster on defense too, racking up 11 tackles, including 2 tackles for loss and a sack. Now, the fact that he's a junior, well, that's probably the scariest part of all of it for opposing teams. Well, Botano's Carson Hare is trying to finish his injury-plagued senior season strong. He passed for 200 yards and 3 scores while adding 140 yards on the ground and a 4th touchdown. Great effort on defense too, with 6 tackles in a 39-6 win over Rugby. Well, Northern Cass has been grinding through a tough season. The hard work paid off Friday as Matthew Hoppy rushed for nearly 200 yards and 2 touchdowns and also took his only catch 53 yards to the house. On defense, he forced a fumble as the Jaguars picked up the 32-14 win over Oak Grove. Napoleon-G-S appeared to be playing a video game on Friday. Look at these numbers from quarterback Jordan Jangula and receiver Trevor Moose, a former game ball winner, I might add. In a shootout victory over Richardson Taylor Hebron, Jangula passed for 380 yards and 7 touchdowns. He added 127 on the ground and an 8th score. Moose accounted for 216 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns on 8 catches. Boy, that's called efficiency, isn't it? Staying in Region 4, Gentry Richter had the Lions roaring in a rout of defending state champ New Salem-Almont. The Linton-HMB junior completed 15 of his 16 passes for 171 yards and 3 touchdowns. He added 138 yards rushing and 2 scores. Then on defense, he was critical in shutting down the Holsteins with 6 tackles and an interception. Richter has been great this year. Mason Rumfo of Langdon-E-M Munich shined in a road win over Thompson. Rumfo averaged over 10 yards per carry on the ground, scoring twice, and then he added 3 more touchdowns in the receiving game for over 100 yards. Rumfo and the Cardinals will try to secure an undefeated regular season when they close things out at Carrington on Friday. And it was a good weekend to be a Rumfo, right? Shout out to Simon and Grant for scoring their first career touchdowns in UND's win over Western Illinois. Next on the list, I watched Gunnar Thiel just put on a show in person this week over in Hope, North Dakota, as the LaMoure-Litchfield-Marion sophomore took the first play from scrimmage to the house and never slowed down. Thiel just finished with 104 passing yards and a couple of touchdowns to go with nearly 300 rushing yards and 2 more scores in the victory over Maple River. With 2 seasons still to play after this one, I think some all-time records are in serious jeopardy in Lobo country. Congrats are in order for Cavalier junior QB and defensive back Brecken Thorpe and the rest of those Tornadoes. With their playoff hopes on life support, they rallied from behind against Harvey-Wells County and clinched a playoff spot behind Thorpe's outstanding performance on both sides of the ball. Thorpe passed for a touchdown, rushed for 2 more, and finished with 3 interceptions on defense, one of which he took back for a pick 6. The victory pushes their playoff appearance streak to 17 consecutive years, and you really have to hand it to Cavalier. They graduated a lot of talented seniors off last year's 9-man runner-up squad. The Tornadoes fell to 2-3 after being blown out 42-0 by Langdon in mid-September. It would have been easy to just fold up shop, make excuses about being forced up to 11-man. Instead, they respond with 3 straight wins to earn a trip to the postseason. Well, Jamestown knows a thing or two about postseason success. The 2-time defending state champs took care of rival Valley City on Friday night in the battle for the Iron Helmet. Junior receiver and defensive back Nate Walls was a walking touchdown. 6 catches, 86 yards, and 3 scores. He also drove the final nail in the coffin late in the 4th quarter with a pick 6. Good bounce-back win for the Blue Jays. Finally, we go to Griggs-Midkota, a program that has been scratching and clawing for a win the last few times out, and the Titans got one on Friday behind a big game from senior James Woodstead. Woodstead completed 8 of his 13 passes for 174 yards and 2 scores. He also rushed for nearly 50 yards and a score, and the icing on the cake was a pick 6. Heck, he even boomed a 54-yard punt in the contest. Congrats to James and his teammates on getting that victory feeling on Friday. So those are the top performers for this week. Back to our game ball winner who throws on this Minot lid with a lot of pride every Friday night. In fact, his is covered with stickers, which is a salute to all the big-time plays he's made throughout the season. Congrats to Tyson Ruzicka on being this week's Midco Sports Game Ball winner, sponsored by Farmers Union Insurance. On a short week, Tyson and the Magi took on 4th-ranked Bismarck to determine the best in the West in AAA. Windy conditions put pressure on the ground game, and Ruzicka delivered by turning his 23 carries into a season-high 238 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Beyond the stats, it was the timing of his runs. It seemed like every time the Demons gained some momentum, Ruzicka answered with a huge run. The Magi needed every bit of it in the back-and-forth 26-23 win. Ruzicka was also a big factor on a Minot defense that held the Demons in check, especially when it mattered most. Tyson, boy, he's had a heck of a season, and now he's going to be getting some hardware in the form of a game ball. That's a wrap for this week. Good luck to everyone as they hit the field on Friday night, whether you're fighting for a playoff spot or trying to finish your season on a high note. Go out and get it and have some fun too. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you Friday night for Varsity Sports Live at 10:30.